Hi everyone, Daniel here, and today I'll be doing a little bit of technology surgery here on my Thrustmaster TMX wheel. This is also the same wheel as the T150 if you have the PlayStation version. So basically what this mod is known as is the ball bearing mod. So real quick, this wheel is a hybrid of gear and belt driven system. Really, it's a belt driven gear system, as you'll see once we get inside. And so the belt rests on some plastic rollers. It's effectively just plastic cylinders on a metal stick. And you can open this up and replace those plastic rollers with bearings. And this is supposed to make the wheel feel much smoother while you're using it. And so we're going to find out if that is the case. And so really all you need for this mod are the bearings themselves. You need a specific measurement of dimensions of the bearings. I'll go ahead and put those in the description box below so you know what to get. And you'll also need a screwdriver, and I highly recommend, as again you'll see in the video, that you get a regular screwdriver, not a screwdriver with replaceable bits on the end, because that'll be too thick and too short to get into some of the deep wells where some of the screws are for opening up this wheel. And that's really it. Also some people say that you can do this mod without fully disassembling the wheel and keeping the rim on. I found that to not be the case whatsoever, so whoever tells you that's how they did that, I would like to know what magic they did. I found that I had to completely disassemble this and take the rim off in order to get all the way inside. There are really small clips that hold the rollers onto the pegs that they're on that you have to get to. Not to mention the tensioner for the belt is well below the bottom shell of the wheel, so I had to completely take the face off in order to get to that. So just a word of warning if you're thinking about doing this. I found that I had to completely disassemble this in order to do it. I'm also not really going to edit out too many of the mistakes that I made along the way, just so you don't make those same mistakes if you're thinking about doing this. But yeah, let's get into it, and then at the end I will let you know what I think of the mod. So like I said, when you are initially opening up this base here, you're not going to be able to use a screwdriver with replaceable tips because it'll be too thick to get into the wells for some of these screws. So you're going to want to use a normal screwdriver in order to get all the way down into these screw wells. Next we've got a few screws on the front here. That's basically part of the beauty cover. Now that's off, we've got a few screws behind that are actually a part of keeping this all together. And there we go, we've got the top off now, and here is a look of the motor and the belt, and I'm just trying to assess how I'm gonna get in there and what I need to do. At this point I've discovered that I need to take this all apart in order to really get in there. So first we have to remove the cable that connects the rim to the main board. And that cable is also zip tied in with a couple of zip ties. So we're going to go ahead and cut those so that we can take the rim off. The rim is held in with 2 screws. So we're going to want to take those off just on the top and bottom. So you slide that out, and then you're going to want to pass the cable through the channel that it's fed through. Might need a little help there to get it through, as it is a tight space. Now I'm trying to figure out how to get this front cover off, and we've got a few screws around the perimeter that hold the front face onto the metal structure, and then there is a handful of screws on this collar that keeps everything tight. A few more screws on the bottom here. And you're just going to want to play with it, slowly take it off. Now that collar does have a little notch in it, so keep that in mind when we're putting that back together, as that'll let you know how to orientate that collar. And here we have the belt and then the tensioner that we're going to want to at some point address in order to get to these rollers. Now first here I'm pointing at the clips that hold the rollers in place onto the pegs that they're mounted to. Just take a small flathead screwdriver and you'll be able to pop those clips right off. Now lost one of them, and it actually it got stuck to one of the gears. They're quite greasy, so they can stick to just about anything, so keep that in mind. Right now I'm marking the current position of the tensioner so that I know where to place it when putting it back in place. All this red stuff you see is just Loctite, so don't worry about that. You're just going to want to unscrew that tensioner a little bit and let it loose so that you can get to the rollers. Now these rollers have quite a bit of grease on them, and they also have some washers and some metal washers and some rubber washers to keep them in place. Now I'm just trying to figure out how many ball bearings I should be putting on there to replace the plastic rollers. I determined that instead of trying to shove 3 ball bearings on there, I would try to get away with just 2 and then adding some washers I had as spares, as spacers. That way I would be able to line up the ball bearings with the belt as it lays across the gears. So it's just something you want to kind of eyeball. The 2 of the ball bearings is wide enough to fully cover the belt, so I felt fine just doing 2 ball bearings instead of 3, as I know some people do. I also tried to steal all of the rubber pieces from the plastic bearings as well. I don't think it was necessary, just because the construction of these plastic rollers is different than a ball bearing. But I put them on there anyway, just in case. So yeah, I just used some washers that I had spare to add as spacers. Put the ball bearings on, put some more washers on there, and then clip them into place. And then just go ahead and put those clips back in place once the ball bearings are on, and should be good to go. Now we're going to want to move the tensioner back into position to make sure the belt is properly tightened. I'm just making sure it's lined up properly with the marks that I made. You're going to want to get a little bit of leverage on there. I used another screwdriver. It's going to be tight when you move it back into position. And now we're just going to go about the reassembly process. So just doing what we did in reverse. Now you see me playing with this front piece quite a bit. That's because there is a little tab on, I'm going to try to put this collar back on here, but it's going to not work out this first time, because you'll see that there is a tab on the back side of this front face that needs to slot into the metal structure of the wheel. You'll see it's not fitting quite right. I'm leaving this in so that you'll see the mistakes that I made, so hopefully you are able to avoid them. That left side is still not fitting in quite right. And so I thought putting the tensioner collar back on would slot it into place, but unfortunately did not. And so right here I figured it out. So you see this little top hole there, and that little nubbin goes into that top hole there. Not the bottom one, but that top one. So you're gonna wanna make sure the front plastic piece slots in there, and then you'll be good to go. And then also make sure the shaft that the rim sits on, make sure that is all lined up properly on the gears before you put the collar back on. Otherwise you'll have a misaligned rim. I went and used some spare cable ties from a PC case to put the cable back into its original position so that it doesn't move too much while you're using it. You would hate for your rallying to rip the control lines out from your wheel, so you're going to want to make sure you zip tie the line back into place. I believe I lost a screw there, so that's what I was turning it upside down for, trying to fish it back out. A lot of these screws are pretty small, so if you were to accidentally drop one while putting this back together, you might have to do another partial disassembly in order to get the screw out of the inside. So be careful when putting these screws back on. And so as we wrap up here, putting the final screws back into place, that is how you disassemble and reassemble a TMX Thrustmaster wheel, also known as the T150, and then do the ball bearing mod. All right, we are done. Wheel is all nice and smooth now. So overall, let's go over the process first. That was far more complicated than I thought it was going to be. Like I said in the intro, some people online say you could do this without full disassembly, and you can do it by just taking the top cover off and that's it. I don't think so. I don't know what wizardry they did to do that. I don't know if they had maybe a flexible screwdriver to get to the tensioner. But yeah, as you can see, you have to basically do a full disassembly at least to get to the tensioner. Maybe you can get lucky with the clips. I don't know how though, because those clips and the rollers are all greased up and they're pretty small and fiddly to get all those other washers and whatnot that are on there. So again, I think this requires a full disassembly in order to do it. And then the bearings that I had, Some people say online that you could put 3 on there. I didn't think I could fit 3 and still get the clip back on to hold them in place. So I ended up using some additional 3mm washers to put on there to add as spacing. It should work just fine. The 2 ball bearings together was still the same width of the belt, so that shouldn't be any issues there, I don't think. And then, so how does it feel? I will play a clip here. You could probably hear the small difference from before and after. How does it actually feel though? It definitely feels smoother to rotate the wheel. You still feel the gears for sure. It's still a gear system essentially. So you can still feel the gears. It doesn't automatically now feel like just a pure belt wheel. But it's definitely a lot smoother. I would describe it as less chunky between the gears. Is it a necessary mod though? I don't think so. I don't think it's absolutely life-changing. Some people say that they have additional feeling in the force feedback. I played a little bit with it. Maybe I need more time with it, but I couldn't immediately tell that I was getting more feedback from the wheel and the motor system. Some people even say it feels like the T300 or the TX wheel, the Xbox version, which is a step up that Thrustmaster has. I've never used that wheel, so I can't say that that's what it feels like. It's nice, but again, not necessary. And as you can see, it was a real convoluted process trying to get in there and get it done. And it was kind of a mess. I wasn't expecting it to be quite as greasy as it was in there to do this. But if you got this wheel, if you like this wheel and you're out of the warranty, so that if you mess it up, you're not going to get any trouble trying to send it in. But you don't have the money to upgrade to like a Fanatec or something like that. If you want to freshen up your wheel, this is certainly an option to do. If you can feel the difference, again, but not a night and day difference, I don't think. But what is a night and day difference is the T3PA load cell mod, which I also did. So be sure to check that video out on my channel. If you do enjoy these technology mod videos that I've been doing lately, give this video a thumbs up to let me know. And of course, subscribe to my channel so that you can see more videos in the future. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.